So welcome to the space. I first wanted to open a space for us to speak in. This is opening up a portal to infinity for us to transmit high levels of knowledge into this space. So, Kalki, I wanted to ask you, how does a human progress in higher realms and higher levels of development?
See, the most important aspect to that, which is very interesting because it happens to be, I was thinking about the fact that I'm smoking a spliff and I'm actually, inhaling certain substances that happen to be psychoactive. That I've got ganja in here, which is a mixture of hashish and marijuana, but high CBD, and high THC, but high CBD, mostly high CBD. Now, that's one way that you can activate your brain activity, and the brain activity is a direct correlation to your higher self. The higher your brain activity is, the higher your self is. So the average person on planet Earth, operates with about 5% of their brain activity if they're lucky, which is fifth density level. That's 5D. When people talk about 5D, this is 5% of brain activity. So you can imagine the density levels correlate exactly to our brain activity. Now, the funny thing with that, you'd think if you get to 100,000 or 100% rather, you would transcend this reality. But it's not the case. You can overclock. You could be at 216% brain activity. You'd be at Phoenix level. And then you'd be an amazing intersectional activist. So that goes back to the numerology of consciousness. The numerology of consciousness relates to all the different levels. The first digits from 0 to 9 relate to this planet Earth. So you go from the cosmic womb to mineral consciousness to plant consciousness, which is usually what we go through when we're meant to be born. We're meant to be born at a ninth density level of consciousness after 9 months of gestation. Each month of gestation corresponds to a density level that corresponds to a level of consciousness of the planet. And then at 9, we should all be born as world messengers. We should all be born as messengers for this world, or as world citizens. But then you go beyond that, you have 10, which, like I said previously, is AI. So AI would be 10, then you're hopping into the next realm, which is the solar system. Then you have 10 to 19, which is the solar systemic realms. So 19 would be like a great world messenger for the entire solar system. That's if the planets were populated the way we think them. We don't even know whether there's spirits on other planets that are existing that we're not aware of, because we only know about the nature of corporeal physical matter. Then you hop beyond that, you go to mythological realms. You've got 20 to 29, which would be like the Fey realm, or the Elven realms, rather. The Fays are like another 100 digits above that. So because they have wings, they can fly around, they can move in 4 dimensions, but they can warp time space, they have phase shift. Each density level also corresponds to a basic sense. We should be born with 9 basic senses. Now we're told that we have 5. This is because they want to restrict us, so we don't even reach archangelic consciousness, because 7th density allows us to self-manifest destiny. So we talk about the 6th sense oftentimes, but the 6th sense is just the beginning of extrasensory perceptions. 5th density is true sight. True sight allows you to see with your ajna chakra, with your pineal gland's projection of a future vision or a present vision of the unseen and the seen realms melded together. Now, this is increased through using certain psychoactive substances, like, for example, a mildly psychoactive one, like the one I'm using right now. But CBD is a counterbalance to THC. So CBD is the opposite of that. It's amazing seeing you do yoga right now too, and do like that's bomb. That's very surreal.
Yeah, like I just finished a workout, and it's important to like not fully just only focus on your muscles, but focus on everything. So that's like stretching, and that goes with eating healthy and also working hard as well, but then also resting hard at the same time. And
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Work hard, play hard.
yeah. Yeah, and for me, yoga is a really big part of my development because it just puts you so much more in tune with your body and in tune with your just how everything's put together. Um, Stemming from that, I wanted to speak to you about why is there so much weird, like just ignorance going on in the world. Like,
Oh, it's very simple. It's all related to people eating children. It's related to nutrition. It really
yeah,
comes down to that. It's people eating animals that they think are grown up, but which are actually overgrown children, pumped full of hormones. And the reason why youth are growing faster now is because they're forced to eat flesh filled with hormones that makes them develop faster. So if we look at youth back in the days, they didn't evolve nearly as fast as they do now.
yeah, that's crazy. Like,
Now, for them, that's a blessing in a sense because they gain more militance, more awareness. They become more angry, like those totems that are inside of them that are oppressed, and they create rebellion by their preteen or teenage years because they're rebelling against the system that's forcing them to be oppressed as slaves, essentially. Now, that's one thing that's super important to talk about for activating your higher consciousness. Respect youth, treat them like magical, mythological beings. Super important. You treat them like infantilized beings that are served, or rather, asservi in French. This is what I'm trying to say. Asservi, served. It's an Anglicism or it's a Francicism, but it's asservi means enslaved. So the youth are enslaved, the elders are enslaved. Diasporic populations are partially enslaved as well. Many of them fully enslaved. Slave labor, all of this shit. You get out of that system. You support intersectional activism. You support beyond fair trade practices. You support eating local, but not eating the flesh of children, not eating meat, not eating himsa in Hinduism, in India, in Dharma Sanatana, I should say, is actually himsa corresponds directly with eating meat, which is violence. So himsa means violence, ahimsa means non-violence, but himsa is associated with people who eat meat. So other than indigenous people, which again, they don't eat meat because the word meat doesn't exist indigenously.
that's
They would
interesting.
call it something else. I couldn't even correspond it. I don't know my own indigenous tongues, but it's very important. Nutrition is quintessential.
Mm.
And that includes medicines, that includes water, which is life. Water is life, food is medicine. It includes superfoods, it includes everything.
Yeah, bro, there's literally a tree for every illness that exists. Like, there's something that you can eat that's grown from the earth that will heal any part of your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dr. Sebi talks about that. Many I tell people talk about this. Many nutritionists talk about this. There's even, I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's a tree that they spliced that they managed to create a natural tree with 40 different fruits that grow on it in all 4 seasons. They did this naturally in this world. You can look it up. It's crazy. Imagine having a tree in your backyard that has 40 different fruits on it. Imagine how many diseases you could cure from that.
Wow, that's
Apple cider vinegar alone can cure over 5,000 illnesses.
wow. Yeah, like every morning I drink this it's just lemon and garlic and hot water that was blended together. So it's just a lemon garlic drink and I drink that every morning on an empty stomach.
That's amazing because lemon is alkalinizing, garlic cleanses, it purges, it cleanses and purges. So those are amazing, amazing. And pure water, I can't stress the importance the importance of clean water is primordial. It is extremely vital. So clean water, if you can filter it with crystals, with shungite. Shungite is an essential mineral that you can use to purify water, but you need to leave it in the sunlight so the shungite gets activated. You don't want to use polished shungite. You want to use raw shungite.
Hmm. Yeah, I have a water filter I'm pretty sure it's part charcoal and part shungite as well. And
That's wonderful.
yeah, you pour the water through the top and then it slowly drips and fills up this.
Drips down. Yes. So one of the most advanced medical water filters on the planet that I know of, I've had one for a while. It was given to me by a friend, is Kangen water filters. Kangen water filters, they're used in Japan in medical institutions everywhere. They're used across the planet. Bill Gates ordered, I think, 13 something like for his household alone. He ordered 13 Kangen water filters. Because, and if you think people will be like, I don't want to be like Bill Gates. I'm like, no, but Bill Gates, he's deviously, evilly smart. He knows that water is life, that water is essential. He knows, but that the water is not going to help him because the water, I don't even know if he's alive anymore. For all I know, we've never seen live footage of Bill Gates like in ages. We don't see Bill Gates going live saying, hey, this is Bill Gates. I'm just transmitting. It's always pre recorded shit. So who knows if he's even alive or if it's a clone or something. But at the end of the day, he knows what's good for his body in order for him to preserve himself as long as he can to control the world.
Yeah, and stemming from that, I wanted to ask you, why does it seem like the higher ups who control the world, they're so much more advanced than the current state of the world is? And then slowly, like they release things, like slowly, just to like keep leveling up humanity, slowly, just raising the awareness of humanity. But how far do you really think that they are in technological advancements, all areas of advancements, and why?
Oh,
Go on
I
about
mean,
that.
if you look at Area 51, and if there's Area 51 with aliens in them, my phone's going low, but who cares?
Okay.
If Area 51 is full of advancements and has like knowledge of aliens and crash landed spaceships and all of this stuff, imagine that's Area 51. What's Area 50? What's Area 49? What's Area 0? What's Area 1? What's Area 126? There's probably so many hidden facilities of governments that are doing extremely advanced technological research, which they're not giving to the people because the whole system is structured around enslaving us and keeping us ignorant, which is functioning really well through religions. Because religions tell us that technology is the devil, da 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 da, especially right wing fundamentalist branches of those religions. They tell you you don't want to use that. But the truth is, a lot of races which seeded humankind on this planet are extremely advanced technologically to make us look. And that's the reason I think why they don't drop down here and come and try to save us, because we're not even advanced enough for them to consider us, which is hypocritical.
What do you think about entities that appear on higher realms of consciousness, like whether that's through the astral plane, whether that's through just through breathing and raising your awareness in that way? But like in my experience, a lot of these entities and intelligences, they aren't really physical anymore. And a lot
No,
of yeah, go on about that.
they're very etheric, like they're etheric in a way that doesn't have the a in there. They're like ethered beings. So this is something they describe in Gnostic scriptures. They call them the archons, but I think, like I said before, it's important to call them the evil archons, because there's good archons, there's evil archons, there's neutral archons. It's like a balance between protons, electrons, and neutrons. Electrons are negatively charged, protons are positively charged, neutrons are neutrally charged. This is pretty basic stuff, but some people don't know that. So it's the same thing on anything. You've got angels that could be fallen angels that could turn evil. And then eventually they become demons or devils. Maybe they go transitional state to devil, and then they become demonic eventually. Daemons back in ancient days with an A and an E were guardian angels. So before they became fallen angels, they were watching over humankind, but they chose to come down to the earth to watch them directly from underneath. Now, if somebody was living in a basement underneath you, you wouldn't say that's a demon. You'd just be like, they're living in the basement. But we don't think of that because we think up means higher, means better, down means bad, fire means evil, light means good, but light is fire. So everything's been twisted around, even in our scriptures. We've been told, all the scriptures from across the world talk about how in the end of times, the end of days, everything will be inverted. The greatest princes and mystics, the greatest princesses and empresses will become dejected criminals. But then I'm classified as a criminal. I'm seen as a terrorist by the government. They've been framing me, trying to murder me, trying to do all kinds of things, poison me, lock me up, inject me. But at the end of the day, I do think I'm somewhat of a street prince. I don't know if I'm a mystic. I'm more of a misfit. But I like to think that I refused to be a king. I refused to be a leader in the sense that, like, taking a mainstream aspect of leadership, just like I refused the mainstream hip hop, because I didn't want to be in that position. I didn't want people to look at me and idolize me or idealize me, even. And I know that it happens regardless. It's possible. There's maybe 3, 5 million people that listen to my music across the planet. That's great. That's amazing. It's wonderful. But that doesn't mean that the people are listening and hearing everything I'm saying. And I've noticed before many people have listened to that and thought, talking about activating your higher consciousness, the music that's on Revolt Motion, and I'm not trying to say this to be braggadocious, but the music that's on Revolt Motion activates higher consciousness,
Oh,
and
it
it's
does.
free.
It does.
But most people that listen to it, if they have a blockage in their brain, if they're eating flesh, if they're eating byproducts, if they're living a toxic life and they listen to my music, they're like, this is great, but I don't really agree with everything he's saying. You don't need to agree with everything, but you need to realize there's some basic logic there. If you're like, I don't agree with him talking about not eating meat from animal ag and byproducts, then you're wrong. That's just the way it is. But a lot of people don't want to see that because it would hurt them so much. They would feel like they're a follower at that point and they're just doing what I tell them to do. Some people have told me that before and told me, you just want yes men, you want followers, you want this, you want that. I put it in my book, and you might remember from Numerology of Consciousness, the psychosocial chemical of psychosocial biochemical and electromagnetic manipulation of human consciousness. So I rewrote that book for a reason, because I realized in the introduction it was important to explain to people that I called that chapter Why I'm an Arrogant and Delusional Nutcase. No, seriously. Because I wanted people to see that I see my ego. I see that I'm stuck and trapped in very similar situations that most of us are in this society, especially in a position of privilege and leadership. That doesn't mean that, so I shun that and I accept it at the same time. But I think by shunning it and reluctantly accepting it, it's much better than saying, I'm a leader, I'm the number one, I'm the greatest artist in the world, I'm this, I'm that, I want to be the number one, I want to be the most important, I want everyone to listen and hang on to my every word. It's not good.
Yeah, and the way I see it is I would rather 100 versions of me rather than just me going to the top. So if I am going to go on a climb, then I'm going to bring as many people as I can with me. Because
Exactly.
yeah, like in the end, like 100 of us all united as one being, that's going to spread and be much more powerful than just me just being overtaken by that much power in that way. So definitely with power, you can't just hold it in. You have to let it flow and let it connect with others to bring us all to a higher level of awareness in that way.
I agree entirely.
Yeah.
I think it's extremely important. That's like, it reminds me of a line by Alyssa Marie, who's one of my favorite hip hop artists, where she said, when I reach the top, I'm going to throw a rope down. And I forget, I'm misquoting now, but she was saying, when I hit the very top, I'm going to throw a rope down for those in the bottom and let them sit right beside me. It's more or less what she said. And to me, that was the quintessential aspect again to like hip hop, what it should be, is that if you get to the top, you should be there for everyone that's been on the bottom that you're trying to pull back up into those realities. Because otherwise, what's the point? That's why a lot of people said it's lonely at the top. Because if you're at the top but you're alone, what are you doing?
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a complex conundrum we live in.
I think you explained it very well.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's definitely like part of the path to be able to see your ego in that way. Um, yeah, I don't know, ego is such a important part to actually like your true growth because it's like a balance of your ego, your soul, your mind, your lifestyle. It's all just a balance within itself.
It is.
Um, yeah, but